On this edition of In Focus, we meet two men behind a provocative new project, director-producer Donnie Betts and performance artist and writer Jeff Campbell. Here's his brief look behind the Blackface.
Well, I just have a really hard time personifying this character. To be able to put this on, is a difficult thing. Mainly, I think about the humiliation, because I'm not here to necessarily play it up. I'm here to hold up this image more so for you to see what it is, to be offended, and then, to cross-reference it. I'm not trying to be a blackface character. I'm trying to show you the equivalent of blackface is what we see today perpetuated through mass media. Pulling the makeup off is actually empowering. It's gratifying in a way is that I don't have to live up to anybody's preconceived idea of who I am. Stereotypes and joking around comedy. It's funny. It's funny, but these things, are not only used as jokes. This image embedded deep in the psyche of America and really the world of who and what we are as black males, that serves as a precursor of anything that you do.
I'm glad we're getting to continue this conversation because one segment wasn't really enough to explore this work, only because I haven't even seen it yet, and I'm very excited just from the little bits that you've allowed me to glimpse of your character.
Right on.
So it's billed as a mockumentary, so tell me what that means to you and who he is.
Awesome. Well, the mockumentary on the hip hop industrial complex. Basically, it's kind of set up like one of those "Where Are They Now" type of things about a
So
famous
Mr. Jones
artist.
was a big artist at one time.
Exactly. And so he's got 5 characters in his life that have showed up to be a part of this documentary to tell about how much they loved him for whatever reason. But it begins to unfold that each of them seem to have an angle on this guy, and everybody's trying to get a little piece of the famous rap
So you're
star.
playing more than one character?
Oh, absolutely. I play 7 characters total in this production.
So Mr. Jones and who else?
There's also Rusty Jester. He's the media vulture.
Oh, I know those people.
Exactly. Right. Yes, sir. And Dr. Roscoe Williams III. Yes, sir. Also known as Pastor Dollar Bill. Ha ha! As in pass that dollar bill in that collection plate, baby.
I think I've met him before too.
Yeah. If you've seen the guy with the church that's the size of a basketball arena, and he's got a $7,000 suit on and Italian leather shoes and a bunch of jewelry on, but he's talking about he's for God and the people. That's the guy I'm talking about.
Sometimes that guy is even in a smaller church in a neighborhood.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That too.
Absolutely.
That's where I met him.
Right.
That's Pastor Dollar Bill.
Yes, that's the same guy.
Same guy. So that's 3.
Yes.
Who else?
Lawrence Livingston Coolidge Jefferson, also known as LL Cool Jeffrey, former language arts teacher, now the host of Shakespearean rap theater. So
Tell me about him.
yes.
Who is he?
So the shape-shifting educator, the shape-shifting archetype is, he appears to be good but is really bad.
So it's not about whether he's authentic to his black experience.
Right.
That's not what that
That's not-
send-up is about.
No, it's more so he has an ulterior motive. And, what is a little bit about what Donnie had touched on about now that you can get a master's degree in jazz theory, it's the same thing in terms of hip hop. You can go get a degree in hip hop cultural studies. You can go to Tupac classes at the education institutions. you know, and what that is doing is creating an elitist power structure within the culture. Take, for example, Rap Genius, the #1 blogging site for hip hop. It's all a bunch of Yale graduates that runs the #1 hip hop site. So it's not something that's arbitrary in my head. This is happening, and soon, you know, real hip hop or authentic hip hop will be the same as real jazz music now. It'll be taught in an institution versus something that was created on the street. So that's his agenda.
That's his agenda.
Yeah. And then you got Vincenzo Lefty Caruso, that right? He's the industry vampire, you know? He's an all right kind of a guy. So yeah, of course the vampire archetype, you know, lives off of the blood or the lifeblood of his victims in order to sustain his immortality. And so he comes from a long line of producers and, you know what I'm saying, agents and guys like that, you know? A long line of, well, we've been building jigs since Bojangles. So that dude has been around a while.
I think I've met him too. So far I know all the people in your show.
Right. Well, if you ever been on the 16th Street Wall, then you definitely met Jamal Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Because he's selling his CD on the corner and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? He's like, you know, just rapping and rapping and rapping. You know, he has a big heart. He goes by the name Sentimental.
Who is he?
He is the arch rival of Jiggaboo Jones. His name is Jamal Jackson. As you see, they both have JJ names. They both wear the same outfit because they're brothers. They are the same, and they are like, it is a representation of black on black crime. It's a representation of the jealousy, the crabs in the barrel mentality that plagues the hood, that keeps folks from rising when they should, instead of compete against one another, they should lift one another up so that we can all eat off this hip hop thing. But that's who he represents.
How did you find these characters?
They were not hard to find.
I recognize how you find the types.
Right.
But you had to do more than just create types if Donnie was going to sign on to produce and direct your show. So they must be full-fledged characters. How did you find them?
They definitely come from a real place inside of me in terms of some of them are aspects of my own personality. At the same time, some of them are people that I've met and encountered in my life's journey. In addition to that, I did use archetypes. I did the research on the archetypes, and once I understood what the vampire archetype meant or what the zombie archetype meant, then it was very easy for me to build dialogue.
Both in literature and in theater.
Right. You know, this is exactly what the vampire would do. This is what, you know, the werewolf would do. So, you know, it became very easy at that point.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay, so to bring all that together, all those characters together in the archetype, and with me signing on, then Jeff shared with me the spoken word that's used to kind of blow this all out of the ballpark, you know, and it's so powerful and so to the point to deconstruct now. What you just seen on stage, he now deconstructs. So I think that's what's gonna blow people's mind. You know, you're gonna see these, you're gonna laugh at them, they're gonna be funny, they're gonna be profound.
I was gonna say, it's a mockumentary, so we don't want to belabor the point that, yes, that it's a serious thesis.
It's very funny.
But there's definitely going to be humor, even in the glimpses I've seen.
A lot of humor. A lot of humor. It is very funny.
How do you help him strike that balance as someone so close to the material?
Right.
To make these characters real and keep the humor in there and not let his own passion interfere with the audience accessing this material that he's worked so hard on?
Well, it's difficult. I mean, you got a great artist here who's done a great body of work. So then now what I try to do is help him hone and shape this. How do we now speak to people who are not on the inside? How do we speak to people who are on the outside and not involved in hip hop or not involved in the arts and those kind of things? So what my task has been is to help him, show him how that happens, show him theater. He knows the hip hop world. I don't know the hip hop world. I know it from an outsider. I don't know the spoken word artist, or do I write and things like that. I mean, nothing is powerful at what he does. So my task is to show him now, how do we merge all those worlds together?
To turn it into a real piece of theater and not just
and not Rich Little. You know what I mean? For people to know that it's not, it's not George Kirby,
right?
But just doing voices. Now we're talking about inhabiting those characters.
Very much like was done with Whoopi Goldberg when she did her first Broadway show at the Winter Garden.
Exactly.
And taking those characters she created to tell us that story in a theatrical way.
Right, because it's a journey. This piece will take you on a journey. And it's also a murder mystery. I mean, that's why it's in the title is what it is. It's a murder mystery. So we find out which one of these characters may be guilty or may not. So you got all that. You got humor, you got comedy in there, you got a profound message that will be delivered by the spoken word, and you got this good old-fashioned murder mystery in there too. So it's a lot of things all in one.
You've been releasing some videos that help us understand what it is we're going to come to see when we start coming here on October 4th to see this piece. And the one that I've seen most recently, you have a section where you're taking off your makeup, and it seems as though who I'm meeting there is the author of this piece. Is that true?
I would like to think so.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
You said you rankled at the identity that someone else was putting on you and judging you based on their preconceived notion of who they are. I think if everyone's honest in their heart, they all understand what that feels like.
Right.
But what does that mean to you when you're saying that in this context? I mean, it's very different than just sharing it with your therapist or your mother or your brother or your friends.
Sure.
You're going to be sharing it in front of a group of strangers. That seems very intimate. How do you manage that?
Well, I have to see it as a part of healing.
What do you mean when you say that?
Well, I can't just see this. If I'm going to bare my naked soul to perfect strangers, I can't see this as something that I'm merely putting on this character and portraying this character and saying these very personal things and saying these very, things that are connected to who I am as a person without utilizing that as an opportunity to heal, inspire others to think critically about how they feel about it, but also by performing it and putting it out there, it is empowering me to go through the very transformation of analyzing this word jigaboo and how dehumanizing it is, and how the N-word is actually no different in its dehumanization characteristics and power. And it is that dehumanization that makes it very easy to kill your brother. It makes it very easy to judge your brother.
Mr. Jones' first name was often used within black culture against people with darker skin.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So that's
Very good point.
So,
definitely that connection.
Right. So I'm I put that out there in the title, mainly for the reason is the audience, when they first read that, they're not going to make a distinction between a jigaboo and a black man. They won't make that distinction, so they'll come into the theater.
Do you really think that people won't make that distinction today before they see your piece? Do you really think that the average person who might come to see your piece doesn't see a line between those two identities?
Well, I don't think that it is. Well, this is what I do know. This is what I do know. Trayvon Martin is murdered less than a block from his house. And as the case begins to build, these photographs appear of him flipping off a camera and smoking weed, which they alleged was him, which we later found out was really not. And as you scroll down in the comment section of the blog spheres, you see he was a thug and he attacked the security guard, and he got
Because thug is a code word.
And he got what he deserved. Paula Dean gets in trouble for using racial epithets and the N-word, okay? And you read the article, as I often do on the laptop, and then scroll down in the comment section.
It's very tempting to avoid that poisonous pool of the
Right.
comment section.
Right. But you get down there and it's, if every gangster rapper can use this word in their songs 10 to 20, 30 times, how come Paula Deen cannot? So this is the discourse, this is the logic around this subject on a very primordial level.
I think most people, and I could be wrong, maybe I'm being too generous of soul, but I think most people understand why Paula Deen can't say that when a young man who is a recording artist can. But what I'm interested in hearing you tell me, because it sounds like, maybe I'm misunderstanding your thesis here, but it sounds as if you're saying maybe that young man who's making his living, if he intends to use that word, he should understand more of the power it's carrying and not just use it so easily, or maybe he shouldn't even use it at all. Am I misunderstanding you?
I don't think so. I think there's a great deal of responsibility for us, particularly in black males, in terms of how we not only appear to others in society, but also our community. Our community is dying. We don't have time to be playing around, continuing to exemplify this violent, misogynist, criminal image of who we are. We don't have time for that. We don't.
And as artists, it's our duty to educate as well as entertain.
That's it.
So a lot of these artists are not. They're just trying to entertain, you know, shucking and jiving,
And why?
you know? So
It's
all
profitable.
About, yeah, so you're making this money. Some of them not even making money, but they
Right.
saying all these things that don't even realize the power, as you said, behind that. Words are powerful. That's why poets and spoken word artists are so powerful.
Be responsible for the
You
words
gotta
you
be
choose.
responsible for the words that you use.
Music is powerful.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes.
Music is powerful and they pretend like it isn't. So when a rap artist that is put out on a major record label and Burger King and everybody else is advertising on this station that pushing this image, and he's talking about murdering his other black brother all day long in the record, throughout the record, and it's pumped out on the radio station, then it's not powerful. Oh, it's just music, it's just entertainment. But if you put a song called Cop Killer on your CD, you gotta take that one off because it might perpetuate violence towards cops. Now, this is my issue, that you know that music is powerful and you're lying. You know that it's powerful because your practices are dictating such. So I'm a little passionate, but that's the play is, you know, we gonna touch
passionate
on
about it too.
We're gonna touch on it, and I can't wait for you to see it, Eden. I can't wait for you to see it.
I think it's apparent that I'm eager to be here for your
Yes.
opening as well.
Right on.
When you reached out to me from the very beginning, I was filled with a powerful, positive energy, even from this very graphic, very dangerous title.
Yes, you were.
And I'm excited to share it with everyone. We were talking earlier about how jazz has become commercial and elite in many corners.
Very
Not
elite.
always, but in many cases. And that hip hop is somewhat following that trajectory. Is it ever okay to have a segment of culture that's owned by a subset of a community become embraced by the whole? Is that ever a good thing? Can that be a good thing? And
Absolutely. It can be a good thing because, as we just said, art, music, that's all should be shared by everyone. We're not saying that that shouldn't be, you know, blown out to the masses. It shouldn't be enjoyed by everyone. It shouldn't be used as a tool for your creative outlet. I think where the problem lies is when it becomes co-opted. What I mean by co-opted is now the original message that artists used to create that is now become something else, something watered down, something that's so vanilla that you don't even recognize it anymore. So
And only one variety.
and only one variety.
only one
You know, you don't have someone like a Coltrane, or you don't have someone like a Guru or from Gangstar that have these messages that they want to impart. Now you have someone else that's trying to use something of the genre,
Right.
but it's for something totally different. It's just to sell a record,
To sell a
you
record.
know, and it's not having an artistic statement to make.
It's not organic, it's synthetic.
Right.
It's manufactured.
Right.
It's not for, it doesn't have any connection to the community in which hip hop culture finds its origin. It can exist, you know, separate from that and benefit from that creativity. That can never be okay. You know, I mean, I want to go to a Chinese restaurant and I want some good Chinese food. And you know what, if I walk through that door, you know, there is going to be Chinese people bringing me their culture. That's just the way it's gonna be, because that's the way it is. You know, this problem is just in hip hop, it's just a symptom of the larger problem. If you go over here to 5 Points, 5 Points isn't the same 5 Points that it used to be. And the reason why is because if you don't control the commerce, if you don't control the tax base, if you don't control the money in your neighborhood, then you can be pushed out. You can be displaced. So gentrification is a mirror of what we're talking about in hip hop. Hip hop is being gentrified, is what I'm saying.
I do know what you're talking about. And one thing I think it's going to be important to hear is that this message isn't just for those people who might be gentrifying 5 Points
Right,
or
right.
gentrifying hip hop.
Absolutely.
But it's the people who have lived in 5 Points for generations, feeling as though they can, not just that they should, but they can control how their culture survives.
Yes.
That's it.
In 5 Points, in Detroit, in Chicago.
Bam.
I'm so glad that you took time while you're still working on this piece to bring it up to speed, to share it with me. I was so excited to talk to you, and I really can't wait to come and see you on opening night. Thank
Well,
you.
we are honored that you have taken the time to come here and share with us. That shows you the respect that you have. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Very grateful to meet you and to have this opportunity to have a conversation with you about something that's so dear and close to, you know, who I am in my heart. Thank
It
you.
shows. Ticket information is available at workspacedenver.org, and the production runs from October 4th through the 19th. And don't forget to visit our Facebook page and enter for your chance to win a Roku streaming player, a great way not to miss an episode of In Focus.